2024 was an absolute huge year for rising stars in the regional, pro, and amateur ranks. Between the knockout submissions and absolute wars that were put on, it still reigns true in my heart that the Southeast region has some of the top talent in the nation. In this video, I'm breaking down the top 5 fighters, pro and amateur, that's gonna make a huge splash in 2025. This is Knuckle Sandwich with Brandon Anderson, and I wanna say thank you for following along the channel this year. If you will, just hit that subscribe button really fast. It helps us a lot more than you know. And if I do miss anybody, feel free to comment below who I should have added to this list. To start off with the amateur side of things, I have a few honorable mentions, and a lot of these guys are going to be really good in 2025, just throwing this out there. But some of them either are really green in their career, or I just think they need a little bit more of a test coming up in the next year. So my honorable mentions are Khalil Hodges out of Shackleford MMA, Donovan Smith with the huge up kick knockout to win the championship at Future of Fighting. You've got the Johnson twins, Daniel and Terrell, and of course, Austin Long Haul Little should have a huge year in 2025. Let's get on with the top 5 list though. Coming in at number 5, we've got the 5-1 bantamweight Corbin Lights Out Lyons. The former Hub City bantamweight champion suffered his first defeat in September of this year to a nail-biting split decision versus Peyton the Horseman Hayes. Prior to that, he was on a tear, finishing 5 opponents by submission without ever taking the fight to the ground himself. I predict Corbin will look to be more active in 2025. His 2 fights this year lapsed 9 months, and I think with 1 to 2 big wins versus hard opponents, he will be making the pro jump by the end of the year in 2025. Number 4, 5-2 featherweight Darius Patterson. Patterson may not be a household name yet, but I'm willing to bet he will be by the end of next year. Like most amateurs, his career didn't start out on a high note, dropping his first 2 fights. But since then, he played the Uno reverse card and has won 5 in a row. Defeating top regional guys like Ray Willis twice, Chris Capshaw, and Carson Rainwater, Patterson is only looking for the toughest fights moving into the new year. I expect him to win another title at another promotion by the end of 2025. Number 3, undefeated 5-0 flyweight Hugo Ponce. One of the newest faces of the amateur scene in Kentucky, Hugo Ponce made his debut August of 2023. He fought 3 times this year, including his last fight claiming gold at Future of Fighting 5 against the top-ranked Roby Savitic. Hugo is one of those guys that is humble and quiet while letting his fighting do the talking. Ponce said that he plans to have 10+ amateur fights before it is all said and done, but if he can stay as active as he did this year, we could be seeing him with more gold and still a 0 next to his name by the end of it. Number 2, 6-2 middleweight Wallace the Real McCoy. Arguably one of the most successful amateurs in the region, Wallace McCoy has passed most of the hardest tests that have been thrown at him. Defeating guys like Zane Burton, Robert Burns, and Christian Floyd, he has stacked gold on top of gold, carrying 5 titles and just 6 wins. With another title shot lined up on January 11th, he is already starting out the year hot and heavy. The one thing I want to see Wallace do in 2025 is to defend a title. While it doesn't hold much weight as an amateur, I'm sure that the title defense is even sweeter than getting a belt the first time. And number 1, my guy to watch out for this year in 2025 is none other than the 4-1 welterweight Manny Falcosantos. I've been saying since the beginning of this year, Manny Falcosantos is the best welterweight in the region. He trains with pros like Jaleel Willis and Kevin Pease, and then you add in all the wrestling background that he has, and now the striking power that he has as well. He's going to be a problem for anyone he faces, no matter where the fight goes. In his last fight versus Colton Crotchet, he was able to claim the Black Cat Cage fighting belt with a unanimous decision victory. He already has a 2nd title fight lined up for January 11th versus Will Davis of Louisville. And if he gets through that, I feel like there's a few guys that can test him in the region. Starting with the pros, I want to throw out some honorable mentions, starting with Keaston McLean, Jason Danner, Joel Fagler, and Rashad Lockhart. All 4 of these guys are going to make huge splashes, I do believe, with some pro debuts and some just bigger fights. But I need to see them a little bit more active due to some inactivity in 2024. They didn't make the top 5 lists. Starting with number 5 for the pros, I've got the prodigy, Lane Rowe. Debut guy, 155, and look, due to being number 2 ranked in the state of Tennessee and the lack of willing opponents to fight him, 2024 wasn't his most active year as an amateur, as he only competed twice. But it was 2 of his tougher fights of his career. Coming out on top with 2 unanimous decision victories and ending his amateur career with 8 straight wins and 4 titles to his name, we can only assume it will be more of the same as a pro. In my opinion, Lane hasn't even scratched the surface of what he is capable of and is still growing into the prodigy that most people know him by. Number 4, Raging Cajun Bryce Warner. Also going to be having his debut as a pro in 2025 in the flyweight division. He's capped off 2024 with a back and forth war with Alex Holm at Aries Nashville Underground show, literally deeming himself the best in the world at this point by beating England. He announced he was not going to be cutting weight for free anymore. Warner proved time and time again this year that he is a force to be reckoned with in the flyweight division, as he completed his amateur career on a hot streak of 8 wins and taking out most of the top guys in the region, nation, and top 10 across the pond in England. He told us he is looking to be active early in 2025, getting at least 2 fights before the summer when he becomes a new father for the first time. Congrats, Bryce. Number 3, Mad Max Metzger, 3-0 welterweight. Metzger has took the pro scene by storm in 2024 with his debut with Bellator being sidelined due to their own inactivity. He chose not to sit around and wait and pulled out 3 professional victories in just 8 months, 2 of those being finishes. At just 27 years old, if he can keep this activity up in 2025, we could be seeing his name in the PFL or a Contender Series card at the end of the year or early 2026. Number 2, Ethan Birmingham, 5-0, 155 pound. To be completely honest, I am surprised this guy hasn't gotten the call yet. Being undefeated is hard enough, but having all 5 of those be first round finishes as a professional, come on. Birmingham, deemed the arm assassin, has only seen the judges 1 time in 13 total fights. He is the Trogon Fighting Alliance lightweight champion and has all the qualities to hang around with the best of them. He's got the size, he's got the length, he's got the speed, he has enough swagger to sell out arenas, not to mention he is only 21 years old. I guarantee you he will be in one of the big promotions by mid to late 2025. My top pro to be watching out for in 2025 is none other than Stewie Andrew Stewart, 4-0 welterweight. Stewart has been the most dominant fighter I've ever watched live. His striking's unmatched. He has power that no one has been able to take. And in his last fight versus Jimmy Sandlin, we actually got to see a glimpse of his wrestling and ground game. Really, really good, by the way. Being backed by the UFC veteran coach Dustin Ortiz and the rest of the crew at Nashville MMA, he is already showing UFC caliber skills. He may only have 1 or 2 more fights on the regional scene before he gets the call up, and with that fight, he is looking to take the Aries welterweight title. I can only assume not many guys will be jumping at the opportunity after seeing what he has done to his opponents. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this list, and again, if I missed anybody, please comment below. Who should I be watching out for 2025? If you like this video, hit that subscribe button. We plan on doing more videos like this probably every month, so stay tuned for that. Happy New Year, and can't wait to see you guys again.